She stood in the courtroom, looked her father in the eyes, and told the judge everything. The basement, the abuse, the years of terror she'd buried so deep she'd forgotten it ever happened. Her voice shook, but she was certain. Every detail was burned into her memory. The smell of the room, the sound of his footsteps, the way the light came through the crack in the door. She remembered it all. Her father sat in silence. His lawyer spoke. Her siblings testified against her. This never happened. She's lying. But she knew better. She had spent months in therapy, uncovering the truth, piece by piece. And now, finally, justice. Except none of it was real. Not the basement, not the abuse, not a single moment of what she remembered. Her mind had created it all. And by the time she realized, her family was already destroyed. This is her story. Her name was Beth, though for her privacy, we'll use that name instead of her real one. She was 32, married, 2 kids, a quiet life in a small town. But something was wrong. She couldn't name it, just a feeling, like a weight pressing on her chest that never lifted. Depression, maybe, or anxiety. She'd felt it for years, so she did what so many people do. She went to therapy, and that's where everything changed. Her therapist was kind, patient, asked her about her childhood. Beth described a normal upbringing, loving parents, 2 siblings, nothing remarkable. But the therapist pressed. Sometimes, she said, we bury trauma so deep we forget it happened. Your depression, it might be your mind trying to tell you something. Beth wasn't sure, but she trusted her therapist. So they tried something: hypnosis, guided imagery, relaxation techniques. Close your eyes, the therapist said. Go back to your childhood. What do you see? At first, nothing. Just fragments, shadows, a feeling of unease. But the therapist kept asking, "What's in the basement, Beth? Go there. What do you see?" And then she saw it. The memories didn't come all at once. They started small, a flash of a door, the feeling of cold concrete, a voice, then more, the basement, her father, things she couldn't say out loud. At first, she wasn't sure if they were real, but her therapist reassured her. Your mind is protecting you. This is why you've been depressed. You're remembering now. This is healing. And the more she remembered, the clearer it became. The details filled in. The timeline made sense. It explained everything. The depression, the anxiety, the feeling that something was wrong. She wasn't broken. She was a survivor. She confronted her father. He denied it, completely. Looked her in the eyes and said, "Beth, I don't know where this is coming from, but it didn't happen." Her siblings backed him up. "Dad never did that. You're confused." But she wasn't confused. She remembered. So she went to the police, pressed charges. Her father was arrested, and her family fell apart. Her mother stopped speaking to her. Her siblings cut her off. Even her husband started to doubt her. But she held firm, because the memories were real. She could see them, feel them, relive them. How could something so vivid be a lie? What happened to Beth has a name: false memory syndrome. And understanding it requires understanding how memory actually works. We think of memory like a video recording. Something happens, your brain records it. Later, you press play and watch it back. But that's not how it works. Memory is a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds it, piece by piece. And here's the terrifying part. Your brain doesn't care if the pieces are real. If a therapist suggests something happened, your brain might add it. If you imagine a scenario vividly enough, your brain might file it as real. If you're asked leading questions, your brain might create details to fill the gaps. And once the memory is there, you can't tell the difference. In the 1990s, a psychologist named Elizabeth Loftus ran an experiment. She wanted to see how easy it was to implant a false memory. So she told participants a story about their childhood. When you were 5, you got lost in a shopping mall. You were scared, crying. A kind elderly woman found you and brought you back to your parents. None of it was true. She made it up. But she told it confidently, with details, like it was a real memory. Then she asked them to try to remember what happened. At first, they couldn't. But after a few days of thinking about it, 25% of participants remembered it. Not just vaguely, in detail. They described the woman's face, what she was wearing, how they felt. They added things Loftus never mentioned. Their brains filled in the gaps, made it real, and they were certain it had happened. This is what happened to Beth. Her therapist didn't mean to hurt her. She genuinely believed she was helping Beth uncover repressed trauma. But by asking leading questions, by suggesting abuse might have happened, by encouraging Beth to remember, she created memories. And Beth's brain, desperate to explain her depression, latched onto them. The more she thought about it, the more real it became. Her brain added details, emotions, sensory information, until the memory was indistinguishable from truth. But here's the cruelest part. By the time she realized, the damage was already done. The case against her father fell apart. Investigators found inconsistencies in her story, dates that didn't match, events that couldn't have happened the way she described. Her father's lawyer brought in experts, psychologists who specialized in false memories. They explained what had happened, how therapy had implanted the memories, and slowly, Beth started to doubt herself. She consulted other therapists, read the research, and the memories that had felt so solid began to crack. Details didn't add up, timelines shifted, and then one day, she couldn't ignore it anymore. What if none of it was real? The charges were dropped. Her father was released. He forgave her. He understood it wasn't her fault. But things were never the same. Her mother couldn't look at her the same way. Her siblings kept their distance. The family that had once been so close was shattered. And Beth was left with a question she couldn't answer. If her memories weren't real, what else about her past was a lie? We trust our memories. They tell us who we are, where we've been, what we've experienced. But Beth's story reminds us of something terrifying. Memory isn't a recording. It's a story your brain tells you. And like any story, it can be edited, rewritten, fabricated. Right now, you have memories you're certain are true. Your first day of school, a family vacation, a moment with someone you loved. But how do you know they happened the way you remember? How do you know your brain didn't add details, change the emotions, shift the timeline? You can't. Because memory doesn't come with a timestamp that says, verified. It just feels real, the same way Beth's memories felt real. She destroyed her family over something that never happened. Not because she was lying, not because she was malicious, but because her mind convinced her it was true, and she had no way to know the difference. Every memory you have, every moment that shaped you, every experience that made you who you are you sure it happened? Because she was sure too.